What's up, band heads? Well, it's here, marching season. We're in the middle of August. My first Battle of the Bands that I'll be going to is going to be next weekend in Houston, the National Battle of the Bands. I'm ready to hear some good band action. It is time, and I'm excited about it. So this week's interview is with a guy who is really interesting. Honestly, I had never met him before doing this interview, but he is one of the authors in the book, the HBCU band book, and his name is Larry Allen. Now, Larry Allen, he's known as LA or UCLA. He is an accomplished choreographer, a musician, a dancer, a producer. He was the guy that was in charge of the drumline for Beyonce's Homecoming. He has performed with Sierra and Missy Elliott and Cardi B, and he's been in Marvel productions. He was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, it was really interesting to hear how his journey from Prairie View A&M got him on the big stage. Real cool guy, and yeah, I really enjoyed learning about him. So here is my interview with Larry Allen. All right, so I am here with Mr. Larry Allen, who I'm excited to meet because I had not met him before this. So I'm very glad to have him on this podcast. And so Larry is a producer, a singer, a songwriter, a choreographer who has been involved in lots of things, including Beyonce's Homecoming, which I'm really excited about. But he marched for Prairie View A&M, and it's great to hear of more HBCU band alumni doing great things. Larry, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Staying busy, working, staying positive, trying to put positive energy out into the world.
Good. Yeah, it's really nice to meet you. So we are going to get right into it, and we're just going to have a chat about your HBCU band experience. So let's start
Okay.
off about talking about your hometown. Where are you from originally?
I'm a native of Houston, Texas, the southeast side, a section called South Park, born and raised.
All right. And did you grow up in a musical family?
No, I actually grew up in an athletic family, which is well, it's not weird, but it's crazy because myself and one of my younger cousins were the only musicians in the family. Everybody else
Okay.
played, football, baseball, basketball. So kind of one of those
Okay.
lightnings in the bottle type situations.
Okay. So when did you first get introduced to music, or maybe even your first band that you've seen?
The first band that I've seen, well, I noticed it early on, like 4, 5. My mom always tell a story. We were in the mall in Houston, in Baybrook Mall, and her and my dad was shopping for me, and I ended up kind of wandering off and kind of hiding from them. And lo and behold, I ended up in a music store, piano store that was in the mall. So they shut the mall down, was looking for me, and had the security and the police and everything. They thinking somebody may have kidnapped me. And I was
What?
in a music store, I put on the piano, and instead of a small crowd that came around, she knew right then that music was going to be my everything, my all. So I've been in music since the age of 3, all different kind of programs and everything. But my first band was Jackson State that I witnessed for my own eyes. My dad took me to one of the games, and I was like, "Whoa, Dad, what is that?"
Yeah, that okay. Well, first of all, that mall story is crazy, but it's good at the same time. I couldn't imagine parents lost a kid and they shutting down the mall looking for security and whatnot, and you were in the piano store just playing the piano.
Yep.
That's funny. Okay. Well, was your did you ever take formal piano lessons? Like, what was your first instrument
No,
that you learned?
my first instrument was the Suzuki violin.
Oh,
I
okay.
was in first grade. Yeah. So that's when I officially joined like a large ensemble. Violin was my first instrument.
Okay, so I have done probably about 30 of these episodes, just talking to band heads and getting their stories and whatnot. And
Okay.
you are probably the first one that said that the violin was the first instrument they played, which I love. I mean, I love that it's different. But yeah, that's cool.
The school I went to was a music academy for elementary. So and their setup was all your first year either you were in violin, what you did everything, but they sectioned you off during semesters. So just so happened my first semester was violin, and then my
Okay.
next semester was choir, and then the next semester was art. So they kind of introduced a lot of things to you to see kind of where you would stick. And I just happened to stick more on the band side once I was able to get involved with that.
Okay. Okay. So what is your what would you consider your main instrument if you have one?
Um, that's tricky because I'm the type of person to where whatever's going on at the time or whatever I need to get done to benefit me, being it if I need to get a gig playing trumpet or get a gig playing this or that, that's my main instrument for that time. But mainly I would say brass and percussion,
What did you play when you
specifically
went to Prairie
trumpet and,
View?
and snare. First, I played snare drum. I came in on
Okay.
snare drum.
Oh, okay, okay. So let's go back to, let's say, middle school. So is middle school when you decided to add percussion to your repertoire?
No, because from the beginning, well, ever since I can get inside the large ensemble with the band, I've been playing everything. Like my band director, she was so instrumental in just shaping my musical career because she said, my mom, like, he wants to play everything. She said, he's so talented. I just let him do it. So I literally would be at concerts and at rehearsals playing different instruments and different songs, during the band, my time there. So
Okay, so
I love it. I just love music.
you can pretty much play anything, right? So like any of the
Yep.
typical HBCU band instruments.
Yep.
Okay, that is awesome.
Exactly.
You make it sound so simple. So
Like I say, it's the love of music. I mean, God gave me a talent, and I just ran with it.
right, right. Well, I hear that. So high school, were you in a high step in marching band or was it core style or tell me what that was like?
Oh, we were definitely high steppers. Man, I mean, high school, that's when, I mean, elementary school and middle school, it was more geared toward, as we call it, spring band. So you might have like your concert band, symphonic band, jazz band, your ensembles. But high school is when you can be involved in marching bands. And like I say, the first band I seen as a kid was Jackson State. So, of course, when I got to high school, it was like, oh, yeah, this is the stuff that I was seeing back when I was a little boy. So, I was ready for the task. Like, it wasn't new to me, but it was a new experience for me.
And what made you want to decide on Prairie View? If Jackson State, you grew up seeing Jackson State and things like that. What brought you to Prairie View?
It was a bigger calling. I went to the Labor Day Classic as a senior, my senior year in high school. One of my band directors, she was a graduate from Prairie View. So kind of like our gift for making drum major was to go to the Labor Day Classic and kind of be around the band and see how normal band stuff goes, with the collegiate band. And I never forget, I see the box coming down the 50-yard line for their drum feature. And I'd never seen a college band, their drum section, do a whole feature in the middle of the halftime show. And that just blew me away. And I told my mom, man, hey, Mom, I'm going to Prairie View.
Okay, so you chose Prairie View because of the band. Now, you said you were drum major in high school?
Mm-hmm.
So what was that like? I mean, did you do it your junior year, your senior year?
I was alternate my junior year, being that we had two seniors that were, heck of musicians. So they kind of wanted to train me up to prepare me for my senior year. But I was officially drum major my senior year in high school. And it was, I mean, almost like a little rock star, because in like the HBCU culture of band, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Halftime is game time. So, of course, when you're a drum major, and the school I attended, Ross Sterling, it's a popular school. We had a really good band, really good, great drum section. So, I mean, I was a mini rock star, let me tell
it. Okay, okay. So you're used to being like at the top of the totem pole, I guess you could say. And then when you get to Prairie View, you got to start from the bottom, I guess. And so my question
right,
was,
right.
my question was, when you got to Prairie View, what was that like? Like maybe your first band camp? Yeah, tell me about that.
I also mentioned this in the book as well, but band camp was typical band camp. You get all the freshmen that's coming in from different places. Especially at Prairie View, we had a lot of Dallas and Houston people. So you're meeting your freshmen, brothers and sisters, and getting to know people. And we had orientation that Sunday before we started on that Monday. And the band director comes in. He's like, hey, my name is Professor Edwards, and I'm glad you're here. And by the show of hands, who was all drum major? Of course, I raised my hand. By the show of hands, who's all section leader? Other people raised their hands, and so forth and so on. And he says, well, that don't mean nothing here. because he's trying to be in the Marshall Storm. So right then, like he built us up because like, we were all leaders in the band from our respective band programs in high school, and he built us up and shot us right back down and let us know, hey, this is my program. It's a new system, so everything you've learned, that's great, but now you're gonna learn what I'm gonna teach you. Mm-hmm. So definitely a shocker. I wasn't expecting that the first day.
That's funny. There are other people who I've talked to from different schools that kind of say something similar as well. So I think it's maybe just a transition to college thing where, you come from your high school and you're kind of like the top dog, and then you got to start from scratch, I guess. So you work with Skip a lot, right? Was he a percussion instructor?
Yes, well, he's in the same percussion section that I'm in, but he's like a big brother to me, mentor. He wasn't in school. He was done by the time I got there, but he was always around. And I mean, just like I say, big brother. Like I've learned so much from him, and he's been, supporting me through my whole journey since I got to Prairie, even now.
Mm-hmm. So Skip, he's a good buddy of mine too. So just for the folks that aren't listening, Skip Wilson, he's an alum of the B.O.X, which is Prairie View A&M's percussion.
Skip Deezy.
Yeah, Skip a D. That's my boy. Yeah. So you're a new. I guess you're not the B.O.X yet, but it's like that first year. Tell me about that first year marching for the Marching Storm.
It was everything that I dreamt about. Just all the things that I assumed would happen. Being in a college band. I mean, it happened. I mean, we were seeing other bands. I was getting a chance to travel and kind of be out on my own, being that, I was in college, parents are not there. Just working with other bandsmen and, just being a part of something and helping to build something so special. Like, it was a hell of a ride. Like, I have no regrets on any of my time at Prairie because it shaped me to be who I am today. So, I owe a lot to Prairie and to the Marching Storm and the B.O.X because, being in the SWAC is different. When you get to your SWAC hours, I definitely got my SWAC hours.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Elaborate on that a little bit. I think I know what you mean, but say it for the people. Get your SWAC hours.
It's a different beast when you're going up against, SU, the Jukebox, and Gremlin, and these other bands, and I've done my due diligence in passing out some L's to a lot of these schools. Mm-hmm. So that's your swag hours. That's it. You're in the trenches. You're battling and you're playing. You're trying to be the best and have the best halftime show. The best cadences, the best dance moves. So I passed out a few L's in my day. I've taken a few as well, but I definitely have passed out my fair share.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some memorable battles that you might have faced. Like, are there any bands that you faced that you're like, yeah, I'm never going to forget this experience?
Yeah, it was Southern. I think we were in Shreveport. And that's how I was head drum major around that time. Prairie was never known to be a stand band during my era. Of course, great field shows, high energy. And we played in the stands, but we wasn't considered that stand band. But that particular year, I mean, Pop Edwards kind of let us have the keys, and we kind of was, taking it to anybody we seen. So that battle was special to me because Southern wasn't expecting us to play as much as we did. And when I tell you we turned the radio on, we turned the radio on. Mm-hmm. And they did an awesome job as well. But, I mean, we did our thing, too. And, of course, you're going to ride with the home team. So I'm always feel like we got the W that year.
Right. Okay. I mean, I'm sure you probably get up for any band you face, but are there any particular rivalries that just really like hit different?
I would say due to, the region, I would say Texas Southern, the Labor Day Classic, that's a big rivalry. And because, I'm from Houston and a lot of people, go to TSU from Houston, so I know a lot of the band members as well. So you see some of your old your old high school rivals and, of course, it's all fun now, but probably Texas Southern.
And with Prairie View, you had Prof Edwards, who I've heard, you just talked about him, and then I know about him through Skip. And so tell the people about Prof Edwards' personality for the folks who may not know about him. What was he like?
Probably that was and you know the term general teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, but it's the opposite. He's like a beast lion teddy bear. Like he was a smaller guy, not too tall, you know, not a big guy, but I mean his bark and bravado was so large, but he can back it up though. But at the same time, you know, he was generous as a teddy bear. Like he actually paid my last semester of school for me to graduate.
What?
And that's just, you know, yeah, that's him. He's done a lot of things for a lot of us like that. But you know, it was coming time for me to graduate, and money was an issue. And he said, you know, I'm not gonna let money stop you from reaching your goals and your dreams. So he walked over to the financial hall with me, had a nice long talk with me, and then took out his checkbook, wrote the amount, gave it to him, and the rest was history.
That's amazing. Wow. That is absolutely amazing. Shout out to the late Prof. Edwards.
Shout out, rest in heaven.
Yes, yes, yes. So you said earlier you were head drum major. So talk about your drum major trials. Like, were you nervous, or was it kind of like a throwback to when you were in high school? How did you feel? And why did you decide to be drum major in college?
Well, that was one of my goals, you know, for college was to be a collegiate drum major. So I already had that on my game plan in my mind before I even got to Prairie View. But I would say the only time I was nervous was my neo year. I made drum major after my freshman year. So
Oh, really?
and how Prof Edwards did it, he would unveil this new drum majors during the middle of the year, which was our biggest game was Grambling in Dallas, the Cotton Bowl. So and that was typically like maybe like the fourth or fifth game of the year. So just kind of transitioning from still being on my drum in the section for 3 games. You know, I had the Labor Day Classic, Texas Southern. Then I think we played Southern, and we played like a home game at another school like McNeese. But then we had drum major trials. So you know, I've been geared to have this drum mentality. Now I literally have to switch that mindset within the same year to becoming a leader of this entire band. And what comes with that is, you know, I'm a neo, I'm young. There's still old heads in the band that, you know, this young guy, he drumming tonight, so he's telling me what to do. So I have to navigate and learn a lot of skills on how to manage, you know, people that may have had, you know, more SWAT hours or more stripes than me. So I was nervous about that, but performing wise, no brainer. I like to do that. So I was never, you know, nervous about doing my job. It was just about getting the band to follow behind me, being that I was so young.
Okay, okay. And so what was your major? Did you major in music or music ed or something else?
Yes, I majored in music, performance. I got a master's in sociology.
Okay. Well, how about was the master's from Prairie View or was it from another school?
From Prairie View. I kept it
Okay.
home, you know, all HBCU.
Well, what made you want to go into sociology? I'm curious.
That was my minor in undergrad. And
Mm.
my particular advisor, you know, they always geared us to have a minor in sociology or psychology, kind of in that same kind of field. So I knew the professors, or you know, I knew the coursework. So you know, I found a liking to it. So I decided I wanted to kind of be general and not have a, you know, when you get music degrees, it kind of puts you in a box per se, where you can, you know, either you're gonna teach or you're gonna perform, but it's not really a lot of options with that. So I didn't want to kind of, you know, glass ceiling. So by me doing it in sociology, it kind of made it vague to where I can kind of work anywhere if I decided I wanted to do something different outside of music.
Right, right. Okay. So you're trying to get versatility. I just, you know, when I talk to people, I'm just fascinated. So you don't know this about me, but I'm a career counselor. So I just like to hear, you know, the paths of people's careers and whatnot. So speaking of that, let's get into after you graduated from, well, did you go straight through with your master's or did you take a break in between that?
I took a break in between. You know, I was fresh off of, you know, still being in the band, drum major, and trying to figure out my newfound life of being a real adult, as they say, when you graduate. And I still was kind of in my band mode. I wasn't in the band anymore. I still was around helping, kind of being like a graduate assistant. And it was like, you know what? Like, I need to figure my life out. I need to make a little more money. Let me jump into grad school and really make, you know, some grad assistant money so I can, you know, take care of myself and everything and figure this whole thing out with life. and that's what I did. And my dad was, I guess, he was a great man. I mean, he literally kicked me away from the band to put me on this track to where I am now. I never forget, we were in the Rose Bowl parade, and he was like, "Chief, you gotta stop coming around." I'm like, "What you mean by that?" You know, kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. He was like, "Nah," he said, "Nothing against you personally." He said, "But you know, I don't want you to be a career bandsman." He said, "You know, you Hollywood." That was his little nickname that he always had for me. He said, "You Hollywood, man, and that's what you need to be." And I said, "Well, I want to be a band director like you." He was like, "No, you don't." You say that's not your walk. That's not your journey. You say, "You're a performer. I see you on stage with the big lights." He said, "Go do that." He said, "So stop coming around."
Wow.
So he essentially fired me without firing me to kind of put me on track to you know, reach my dreams. And that same summer, I ended up auditioning for Drumline Live, and the rest is history again. I went to Atlanta and never looked back. And my professional career started in that moment. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so of course you know you're one of Don Roberts' boys with Drumline
Oh yeah.
Live. Yeah, he's cool too. So you went to Drumline Live, and what was that audition like?
It was actually easy. At the time, Dr. Nicholas Thomas was working at Prairie. He was the assistant band director. And I was still transitioning from, I was done with grad school, kind of still helping out. Probably was at past by then. So yeah, I was giving back because I wanted the tradition to last on. So it was Dr. McQueen was the director at the time. So I was still kind of helping out. And I met Dr. Thomas, and he reached out to Don Roberts. Was like, "Hey man, it's this guy here in Texas. He reminds me of Snell, which is a drummer from FAMU." He said, "Man, he a baby Snell, and I think he'll be great for the show, for the tour." So Don hit me up on Facebook and went, "Hey man, you come highly recommended. You know, I heard you can play a lot of instruments. Send me some of what you can do." So I sent him a video of me playing trumpet, you know, percussion, doing some drumming and stuff. And he called me back and said, "Hey, you got a job, man, if you want it." I left for Atlanta that July, and we left for Japan drumline tour that following August.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you about. Like the different countries you've been to because of Drumline Live. You said Japan, and where else have you been?
Japan, Korea, South Korea. I mean, we've done so much. Mexico. I mean, it's almost a blur now because it's like we're always getting gigs to do a lot of stuff, and then even from that branches off to where people will want me to come, you know, do other things outside of you know, the company, because, you know, we do really, really good work. And just like Prairie, you know, freshman year I came in on one thing and made drum major. You know, first year at Drumline, I was a percussion trumpet player, a cast member. And then next year, I ended up being the assistant percussion director and the actual producer, the original music producer for the show. So, you know, I always like to, you know, add to what's going on and kind of, you know, almost like, you know, reach different heights within the company. And to the same approach I did for, you know, high school, college, and with Drumline.
Well, you know, it's like, you know, I'm just thinking about how you're answering these, and like, you are definitely taking advantage of your opportunities. Like, you're getting these opportunities and then you just kick it up a notch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always say, you know, well, what am I doing it for? And it was never about the money or the fame, because I feel like fame fades away, you know, and money, you can lose it all. But when you have a God-given talent, like, you never lose that.
Right.
And I like to showcase that. Like, you know, in college, they teach you about Beethoven and, you know, these different time periods in music. And it's like, we have Beethovens from where I'm from. Like, I feel like I'm a Beethoven or a Mozart, you know, from Houston, Texas. I feel like there's Mozarts and Beethovens, you know, in Miami and Tallahassee, you know, and Jackson State. And I just want us to be talked about and be not praised per se, like a better description, but, you know, uplifted, because I feel like our culture is just as important as, you know, those people that we learn about in school.
So do you consider yourself a band head?
I mean, I will say after graduation and all that good stuff, you find a new respect for other bands. You know, while you're in it, you know, the rivalry is so thick with our culture. So it's like, nah, I don't like nobody while I'm in it. But of course, when you get older and you get out of it, you find different elements of different bands that you like. So of course, I'm a big band head. You know, I love SU. I love watching, you know, SU videos of them playing in the stands. You know, I love watching, you know, Norfolk drum section, Mila LaFont Squad.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching, Tennessee State. I love watching Bethune-Cookman dance routines and their drum majors. I love the J5 from Jackson State. Like
Yeah.
them some of the smoothest drum majors, like hands down. Like them guys there. When I say put on the show, they put on the show.
Right.
So,
Right.
I love HBCU. Period. I think each band brings something that's needed to the table that we all do different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, so from Drumline Live, is that where you got different opportunities to like? I know Don was instrumental in, getting the band for like Beyonce's Homecoming and then Falcon and Winter Soldier. Were you were in that, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah, I actually I produced for that.
oh, you did? Okay. Look, tell
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
teach
So
me.
yeah, Don Don has a very keen eye for talent, and like I say, it was just so happened Nicholas Thomas introduced us and kind of linked us together. But Don seen something in me that similar to what my professor Edwards did. So he was like, man, L.A. And everyone called me L.A. So man, L.A. You a natural man. Like you can perform. He said, but you're creative.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, they wanted a Star Spangled Banner, kind of like a hip version of it. And they were coming up with ideas, and at the time I wasn't on board, so they were throwing noodles on the wall, seeing what would stick, and nothing was seeming to stick. So he hit me up. He was like, "Hey, LA, I need you to make me a track." He said, "The idea is a hip Star Spangled Banner with marching band." He said, "We were trying to solidify this gig that we have with Marble." I was like, "All right." He said, "Well, how long can you have it?" I said, "Give me about 30 minutes to an hour. I'll cook up something real quick." Literally, I produced something, and they loved it, and they had their writers to start writing the music for the band to learn and play, and then they ended up recording it, and you have the second episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I was really excited to see that. So you're telling me that you did a version of the Star Spangled Banner in like 30 minutes?
Yeah,
See, you
yep.
make it sound simple, but that's not simple.
I mean, well, like I say, by me being one of the only producer for the show of original music, I mean, I love producing. I love creating. So I knew he needed something that was sounded very patriotic, but at the same time us like HBCU with that sauce. So
Mm-hmm.
it was nothing to kind of put a nice bass line together, a few little licks on trumpet, had the drums kicking in real good. So I mean, of course, when you get a call saying, "Hey, you're doing something for Marvel," just the excitement alone, kind of pushed me through, had an adrenaline to create it. So I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm sure it was hard, but when God on your side, nothing's you can do anything, you know.
That I was just thinking that I was like, yeah, you have a God-given gift because that just sounds really daunting to me. What are some of the other things that you've like been involved in? I know the Marvel stuff and Beyonce's Homecoming
Um,
and
Beyonce, I've worked with Sierra on a few gigs. I performed with her at the American Music Awards.
okay.
Performed on Ellen with her. Performed on HBO, the show Euphoria with
Oh
Zendaya, the
yeah.
finale. Also did some theme songs for Nickelodeon. I produced the HBCU theme song for one of their shows. Working on new materials for them, for the fall. Was in the movie A Hip Hop Family Christmas. I also produced and wrote a song for that. Was also in it. You know, I just try to kind of put my hands into everything. And I'm transitioning now to getting involved with the creative aspect of it because that the back end that's where the longevity is. I know I'm gonna get old and I can't perform for the rest of my life, so I always tell my directors that I wanted to be like Quincy Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the ultimate drum major. He can he produced for one of the greatest artists we've ever seen, Michael Jackson.
Right.
And he's a trumpet player. And he comes
Mm-hmm.
from the whole maybe not marching band culture, but he comes from our culture, that jazz culture, that band culture.
Mm-hmm.
So
He scored movies and things like that. Yeah.
exactly, I was just gonna say that's my end game. Once I want to hang up my boots and my sticks, I'm gonna get into film scoring.
Man, you are like living the dream. I am very, very impressed. I'm glad you're getting to do
Oh,
this.
appreciate it. Thank you.
So we're gonna get into this book a little bit.
Okay.
Both of us are authors for the HBCU experience. the HBCU
Congratulations.
band alumni edition. Yes, congrats to you too. And shout out to Dr. Ashley Little who put us on. And yeah, so probably maybe by the time this is posted, the book is going to be very close to being out if it's not out already. But I am looking forward to just reading everybody's stories because everybody is so cool. So, you know, with this book, I was involved with the first one as well. It's and it's interesting process, the first and the second one. If you could, without spoiling everything, could you give us a little teaser of what you put in your chapter?
Yes, I talk about an interesting story of my actual drum major tryout, like the actual moment and everything that went into it, and how all of the chess pieces were put in place, you know, for everything to align just right for me to, you know, become drum major. It was very, very strategic. You know, I don't want to give too much away, but I explained my actions on preparing for that moment.
Okay.
It needs to be a movie.
Okay. Look, I will gladly see your movie. I'll be in the front row. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, yes. And you can find it on Amazon.com or you can get it on the HBCU Experience Movement website. And so I just want to know, you know, just to kind of close things up, I'd like to know what kind of lessons you've taken from being a part of the Marching Storm. And, you know, I'd love to know what you learned from it, or if you want to share anything else that is on your heart.
And I learned how to just be around, you know, people. And I learned how to I don't want to say manage, but of course, when you're a drum major, you have to, you know, lead people. But I learned, you know, just how to be a team player, how to be a follower as well as be a leader, how to take accountability, you know, how to grow up and make the right decision. You know, it's so much that you learn in college in general, not even just with the band, but just being in school. You know, nobody waking you up to go to class. You know, nobody's telling you, hey, don't spend all of this on partying for the weekend because you know you need you know lunch for the week. You know, you may need gas, you know, to make it, you know, across campus or whatever you may have going on. So definitely, you know, it taught me life lessons. It added to what my parents, you know, instilled in me, but it also shaped up, you know, the foundation of the person that I am. You know, a lot of habits that I had going in from high school, going into college, I had to, you know, let go because those things wouldn't work. You know, in order to do what you've never done, you know, to go where you have been, you have to do what you've never done. And, you know, being out on your own in college, I mean, that would definitely, you know, grow you up and teach you some things. It wasn't always, you know, peachy creamy, but at the same time, you know, it definitely shaped up my foundation, and I have no regrets. Like, Prairie owed me nothing. Like, I enjoyed my time in college. I would advise anybody, you know, to just go try it out. It may not be for you, but you wouldn't know if you wouldn't experience it.
Right.
But it definitely changed my life, though.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you represented Prairie View A&M in this book. And man, when it comes out, it's going to be fire. So I really, really enjoyed talking with you and getting to know you a little better. And yeah, we gotta catch up sometimes, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, but you can also check me out. All my handles are YOU.CLA, YOU.C.LA. That's Twitter, you know, Instagram, all that good stuff. Have some singles out. You know, I'm working with a few artists. I also have some records out. Same handle, YOU.CLA, YOU.C.LA, Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, all that good stuff. Nice range of music, you know, R&B, hip hop. You know, I'm a musician, so I love creating. So, you know, why not put out music?
I appreciate that plug. I'm going to put that in the descriptions of the episode of the podcast. So yeah, definitely get your credits. You have listened to the HBCU Band Experience with Christy Walker. Interviews and editing conducted by yours truly, Dr. Christy Walker. The music is District 4 by Kevin MacLeod, and you can find this podcast on HBCUbandexperience.podbean.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Take care.